Another year, 2024, draws to a close, and it's been filled with lots of interesting scientific discoveries. One that really caught my eye was that the Tyrannosaurus rex apparently was way bigger than what scientists had earlier thought it was. So, when we were watching Jurassic Park, remember that huge dinosaur walking inside the park? So, at that time, most scientists had estimated that the T Rex was weighed about 9,000 kilos. But this year, based on new fossil finds and new computer simulations, they've estimated that it was nearly twice as big as that, weighing about 15 to 16,000 kilos. Well, this year's got lots of other very interesting science and wildlife stories. I've invited 4 primary schoolers to come and share which stories they found really cool in 2024.
Yeah, hi, I'm Anina. I'm 10 years old. I live in Bangalore and I'm good at guitar.
Hello, my name is Chandrika and I'm 10 years old. I really love wildlife and reading.
Hello, I'm Smyan. I live in California. I am in 5th grade. I'm gonna turn 11 on the 10th. I like reading and also wildlife.
Advanced birthday wishes, Smyan. I wanted to just give out an extra word of cheer for him. So, the rest of us, so Anina, Chandrika, Venkatesh, and I, are based out of India, and we're recording this at 3 p.m. India time. Smyan, can you tell us what is the time for you in California right now?
Here it's 1:43 a.m.
Can you imagine? Smyan is so enthusiastic to speak on this podcast that he stayed awake at 1:43 in the morning. Smyan, if at any point in time you want to take a break, get up, walk around, and come back, just let me know. Really a big round of cheer for your enthusiasm, Smyan. I find it fabulous. All right, Venkatesh, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is Venkatesh. I'm 9 years old. I live in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. I love reading, watching documentaries on wildlife.
Wow. All right. So we've got a bunch of wildlife enthusiasts. So why not start today's episode with a wildlife quiz? These are all generic wildlife trivia. So here's the first question. Which of these things can a squirrel not do? Can it not climb trees? Can it not sleep with its eyes closed? Can it not vomit its food if it doesn't like the food?
Maybe it cannot vomit the food that it didn't like.
It cannot sleep with its eyes closed.
That's your guess? Okay. Okay, the correct answer is it can't vomit its food. It can sleep with its eyes closed. But, when we all eat food, there's a nervous system that is involved in bringing all parts together to vomit the food if you don't like something or something doesn't agree. So, your stomach, your diaphragm, your throat, your mouth, they all have to act in concert. The squirrel does not have such a developed nervous system. So all of these just don't work together. So if the squirrel doesn't like something, it's still got to eat that food and push it down to its stomach. Would you be happy being a squirrel? No. All right. The next question. We all have our taste buds in our mouths, right? Where do you think a butterfly has its taste buds?
In its legs.
Yes. Okay, do you know why it has its taste buds in its legs or what its taste buds do when they are on the legs?
Maybe it doesn't have to use its tongue much to lap up the nectar. Or maybe it just has to taste the nectar before getting it with its tongue.
Its
I
legs?
need something very specific. Only this kind of flower can land on the flower and tasting it and seeing which nectar.
Yep, correct. Butterflies take nectar, right? So nectar is very heavy on sugar. So before the butterfly decides whether it's going to suck nectar out of a flower, so it wants to be sure that it's using all of its efforts to suck the nectar only from those flowers that are heavy on sugar. So it determines that by first going and landing on that flower, uses the taste buds beneath its feet, and then decides, oh, wow, this is really tasty. All right, let me now go and suck all the nectar from this flower. That's the reason why it's got its taste buds beneath its feet. How much can an owl turn its head? So, is it that a owl cannot turn its head at all, or just a little bit on both
Um,
sides, or pretty much the entire 360 degrees?
it's the whole 360 degrees.
All around. Like that, right? Okay,
Yeah.
that's Smyan's guess. What is Venkatesh's guess?
It can actually rotate its head 270 degrees. It's 90 degrees short. But its eyeballs are only in place. It can't move like the eyeballs like how we do. So to see everywhere, the owl needs to turn its head. And if we try that, we'll probably get strangled.
Wow. Thank you so much, Venkatesh. I think you've described that beautifully. Chandrika, did you want to add anything further?
Yes, actually, if we turn our necks full at least 270 degrees, then it's due to our arteries, and that's why we would get strangled. Owls can turn 270 degrees, as Venkatesh said, but they just do that because they have conical eyes, but not like, what do you call it? They don't have circular eyes like us to turn around everywhere.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you. You guys have explained the answer beautifully. So I'm going to move on to the next part of this episode, which is the news stories related to science and wildlife in 2024 that the four of you really liked. Anina has chosen one story that she had read on the kids' newsletter that I write, which is usually about one interesting news story, but sometimes I also describe some very interesting scientific phenomenon. So Anina has said that there is one newsletter that she really loved, which was about ghosts. So Anina, do you want to tell us what you really liked about that story?
I find ghosts interesting, and that story just made me a lot more interested. So, well, I just understood why some people see and hear ghosts because of stress and trauma, sleep paralysis, and mental health conditions.
So you're saying that ghosts are not real, but they are caused by things that we imagine in our head. Yeah. So what happens in a sleep paralysis?
So it basically sometimes happens in the REM stage. It stands for rapid eye movement. Like sometimes you can't move and you feel like there is some creepy figure like sitting somewhere near you. So and you can't move basically.
So you're dreaming about a ghost, but you're in that REM stage of the sleep, which
Yeah.
paralyzes your body. So you can't usually walk around. And that's why you feel that the ghost is real.
Yeah.
What are the other reasons?
Sometimes mental health conditions, because then your brain, it functions differently and you might feel like there's a ghost right beside you.
Wow. Creepy, right? So some people can actually believe that these ghosts really exist because of the way their brains function and make the ghosts appear very real.
Yeah.
Right? Thank you so much, Anina, for sharing the one story of 2024 that you really liked. So now Chandrika told me that there was one podcast episode that we had published in 2024. Again, this was on a science phenomenon. I think we published it on the eve of the National Science Day that India celebrates in February of every year.
Well, I got to learn how the Raman effect was made by Sir C.V. Raman, and also at the end there was a bonus trivia saying how Vikram Sarabhai met Sir C.V. Raman.
We'll do a short rewind. So many of our listeners won't know who was Sir C.V. Raman. What is the underlying topic? Can you tell us a little bit about what is the topic?
So, Sir C.V. Raman looked at the Mediterranean Sea. He was coming from UK from a trip, and it was the first time he was looking at the Mediterranean Sea. He wondered why the sea was blue. Then, a little later, a storm started gauging. Sir C.V. Raman saw that the ocean was still blue. he tried to prove that the sea was blue, and it was not the reflection of the sky. So he took a small pocket kind of microscope thingy. I don't remember the name. And he took a small prism. Then he put his eye at the prism, and then he found out that he found so many different colors of different wavelengths, and the blue was scattering the most, which made the ocean blue. He did a few more experiments for 7 years in his lab once he went home in Kolkata, and then he finally proved it. And on the day that Sir C.V. Raman found the Raman effect, it's called National Science Day for India.
Thank you so much, Chandrika. Very nicely explained. So, this particular episode was about how Sir C.V. Raman tried to explain the colors that we see in the sea and the sky. And that's what led to the discovery of the Raman effect, for which he later won a Nobel Prize, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Wonderful. Now, Chandrika had actually told me that there was one more story that she really, really loved, which is the same story that Venkatesh has also picked as his story to discuss on this episode. So I'll just request Chandrika to talk about it when it is Venkatesh's turn. So the two of you can talk about your favorite dog story at the end.
Yes.
Thank you. So Smyan has chosen a story that he really, really liked, which was based on a podcast episode he heard on this channel very early in the year. I think we published it perhaps again, I think in Jan or Feb, which was based on a research that was done by a group of scientists in Norway. And I think it is of much interest to both kids and parents.
So, like when a person is typing versus when they're writing, does it cause the brain to behave differently? So the researchers try to figure that out. So what they did was they put like I think they were students. So like they put like a group of students like in one group and a second group. The first group wrote and the second group typed. The people who were typing were like their minds were behaving differently compared to people who were writing, because while you're typing, the keys are right in front of you, the alphabets are right in front of you, and you just have to type them. But the other way, you actually have to write them. So obviously for writing, we have to do much more hard work. These Norwegian scientists, they did that, and they found out that like people who are writing compared to people who are typing, their brains work more effectively.
Do you all agree? Do you all think this might be right? That when it comes to doing your homework, you're better off writing it on a piece of paper rather than typing it and submitting it?
Well, I think we should write because it helps the brain a lot, and we don't have to keep pressing on keys like while typing.
Why do you think it helps your brain a lot? Have you actually noticed it?
Well, I feel better when I'm writing. That's all I noticed.
Okay, that's great anecdotal evidence based on your personal experience.
So, auntie, like when you write, like it says your brains work effectively because you have to cross check all the spellings. But in typing, the AI and the computer automatically corrects your spelling mistakes, spacing mistakes, and all the other grammatical and other errors. So I think writing is like a brain exercise, and you should do it every day.
Anina, do you agree? Have you seen any difference personally when you've written a homework versus when you've typed out a homework?
Not specifically, because like in our school we mostly just write it.
Mm-hmm. There's no typing homework that you are given.
We sometimes do it in computer, but not that frequently.
You all are actually quite young. So I'm assuming that by and large in your schools, they are likely to give you all written homework. But as you grow a little older, high school and maybe college, you are
Yeah,
likely to get
our
more.
school, middle school onwards, we
In
type it.
in in my school here, they make us write with the computer too for homework.
If the school insists that you've got to type something and then submit it, I guess you all don't have a lot of choice. But now that you know that research says that when you write, the brain is supposed to form far more intricate and complex patterns, which helps you retain whatever you're writing better than if you were to type the same information out. So now that you know this, will you feel inspired to choose the difficult and the arduous task of writing over typing when you have a choice?
Yeah,
Very.
yeah.
Writing over typing.
Typing.
Yes, that's what I thought. Typing is so much easier.
Hand
But
starts paining after a bit. My hand starts paining after a bit.
when you're writing, right?
Yeah, they give us these worksheets. They're like 5 pages. So
Yeah, I can totally understand when your hands start hurting, but here's the deal, right? The research shows that for the same content, if you write versus if you type, you're better off. So I know it's going to hurt your hands, but see if you can push yourself to write rather than type if you have a choice.
And also writing improves hand strength.
So you can play basketball or throw ball or volleyball better.
When you write and your hand starts paining,
Hmm.
you just keep on writing. That's an indicator that you actually your hand is getting um, like at first it'll be like your hand will start paining, but as you
Hmm.
write more, the time limit will go like longer and longer, and you'll be able to write for longer stretches of time.
Okay, so Venkatesh has given us one more reason. It's an
And
inspiration for
all,
us to ensure that we develop our muscular strength.
and also like while writing, your attention span might increase compared to when you're typing.
Yes, that is totally right. That is totally true. I've seen that in my own self. So as a kid, I used to do a lot of writing, but as an adult, I barely write. So actually, last year, I took a decision that I would do more of written work, handwritten work. So many of the things that I do in terms of planning my day's work, or even if keeping a journal or a diary, I've started doing it in the written form, and I see that my own attention span has gradually started increasing. So wonderful. Now we'll on to the last story that both Venkatesh and Chandrika have said that they really like. So Venkatesh, why don't you tell us what the story is about?
I'll give you a gist. It's about a Labrador retriever in Taiwan who saved many lives. He is a failed drug sniffing dog who is currently a Taiwanese, very highly energetic search and rescue dog. But retirement is looming for him. He is going to turn 9, and in Taiwan, all search and rescue dogs are supposed to be sent to a safe home after the age of 9.
Chandrika, do you want to add anything further?
Yes, he's a Labrador retriever, and when he was very young, his like caretakers, they showed him the scent of a cheese, and then when Roger was not looking, they kept it under a loose full floorboard, and then Roger started sniffing everything to look for that cheese, and then he eventually caught the whiff of it, and then he found it under the floorboard, so he wanted to try getting it out. After many efforts, it finally came up, and he was able to get the cheese. So most of his trainers thought that he would become a like drug sniffing dog, and he was transferred to a police academy to like learn how to. But on his first go of a drug sniffing dog, he ended up playing with everyone, and and his caretaker, they told him that it's his time to work. He kept playing. So he had to fail in his police academy, and then he had a go at search and rescue. On his first go, he was able to find a missing 21-year-old woman whose body was found under some rocks, and then uh, he's currently now 8 years old, and his retiring is going to come next year. And he was certified by the international dog no rescue dog organization.
Oh, these dogs have certifications.
Yes, he was
Wow.
certified as one.
Wow. Thank you for sharing the story of Roger. So, for those of our listeners who are hearing this for the first time, Roger is a very well acclaimed search and rescue dog who helps rescue people trapped in earthquake debris. He's based out of Taiwan. This year, I think sometime in the middle of the year in 2024, he really shot to fame because Taiwan had a fairly major earthquake and a lot of people were caught. And Roger was one of the earliest on the scene and he helped rescue many people alive because he was able to very quickly identify where people were trapped and they were able to organize rescue efforts really, really quickly. So that's why he shot to fame earlier this year. And like both Venkatesh and Chandrika had shared earlier, he was extraordinarily playful and friendly. So he failed miserably at his job as a sniffer dog. So if he went to the airport and he was asked to sniff at people's suitcases to check if they were carrying drugs, he would promptly go and play with all the kids around. He would just not do his job. He sounds so much like many of us, right? For those of you that love to read these stories and look at the pictures of what we're talking about, you'll find our end of year book for kids, A Bag of Stories of 2024. Very interesting. I have cherry picked news events from across science, wildlife, technology, space, sports, and lots of other categories. And I've written each one of these like a story and not just a bag of facts. It'll make for a wonderful gift for any curious reader aged 7 and above. So order your copy or a whole bunch of copies for all the kids in your neighborhood. Head out to the link in the show notes below. Thanks all of you. I really enjoyed recording this podcast. I hope you had fun.
So
We
much,
did.
I had fun.
Same here. Had fun.
so much fun.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you all. I'll see you in the next episode, which will be a wrap up of all the news stories related to space. Thank you. Bye bye.
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 Bye.